All right, and we are live here to chat about tonight's episode of Arrow, which was entitled Deathstroke Returns, which means, of course, Slade is coming back. And I've got a very special guest tonight who I'm so excited to have on. Her name is Lacey. Lacey, say hi.
Hi. Thanks for
So,
having me.
Lacey and I, go ahead.
I said thanks for having me.
Anytime. I'm already interrupting her because I'm like that excited to have her on. Lacey and I actually met at Heroes and Villains Fan Fest last year, and she always has really good thoughts to share about, especially about Oliver Queen's journey. And that's why I was really excited to have her on tonight, because this episode very much centers around a specific journey for Oliver, because he's kind of separate from the rest of the team. It's a very interesting episode, and it is a two-parter as well. So jumping right into it, as you all arrive, well, I just tweeted it, so like anybody arriving is probably arriving now. I want to get into our ratings. So what would you rate the episode on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 being like I want my money back and 5 being like best Arrow episode ever?
I came into it wanting it to be a 5, but I
Yeah.
feel like it was like a 3.
A 3. Yeah. Yeah, it's you were pretty excited about this episode before it aired, right?
Yes, I was. I was
Yeah.
excited for the Slade storyline.
Yeah. Is Slade your favorite villain on Arrow?
Yes, and I think that he and Oliver have an interesting dynamic. He has
Yeah.
a kind of paternal way of interacting with Oliver, and there's
Mhm.
so much history there in their past, and I was curious to see how it would play out. But I don't know, that I felt like there was just a little something missing from tonight.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I think I would rate this episode maybe like a 3.25 maybe. It's like right around what you rated it. And I think it's mostly because I was so disappointed that it didn't have exactly what I was looking for. It didn't have the kind of Slade content that I was looking for, other than when Slade was by himself. And so it just felt a little disjointed. Like the moments I wanted to see were so separate from each other. There were like individual bits, and we'll get into that with the highlights that I liked. But just overall, the episode felt like bits and pieces of like, you're going to love this, but none of it goes together.
Right.
Um, but there were some highlights, so let's get into that. By the way, I love that we matched. We didn't even plan that. We just like came on. We're both rocking the flannel. So we just finished watching the episode. So what's in your mind after you just finished watching it? What's the like highlight moment that you're still stuck with?
The highlight that I'm still stuck with, I don't know. I hope that the second part maybe makes me re- feel that excitement again about Slade. But the things I like most about this episode, I think, was the naturalness between Felicity and Oliver, and how she just let herself into his apartment. She's comfortable. They're at that level now. And also the interaction in the lair between John and Felicity. Um, those, I would say, those were my favorite interactions.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The highlight really that stuck out to me, you mentioned John and Felicity interacting. I've been waiting so long to see John Diggle and Felicity Smoke actually get to have a conversation together with each other for more than 2 seconds about more than just like, some sort of passing greeting thing. I don't know. So that was nice. And we got multiple conversations. So that definitely goes down under the like, this is something I loved. But it didn't necessarily feel like connected to the rest of the episode sometimes, because the overall story back in Star City had to do with like the reveal of Vigilante as Dinah's ex partner, whatever, come back to life. That I think was one of the most anticlimactic parts of this episode. And it wasn't even that I disliked it. Like, we'll get into dislikes later. It just like that didn't resonate with me. It didn't speak to me. I don't dislike Dinah. I don't dislike Vigilante. I don't dislike any of that. It just didn't really speak to me. I liked the interrogation between Samantha Watson and Felicity. What did you think about that scene? It was so short, but it was so good.
Well, I thought it didn't last very long, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And I thought Felicity was cute the way she responded to her questions.
Yeah, I really liked how at the beginning it kind of seems like Felicity's not necessarily she's obviously taking it seriously, but she's not going to be serious. She's going to be funny and pass it off as humor, right? But then when it gets towards the end, they sort of have a bit of a moment of a face off where you see like these are worthy adversaries, sort of. Just jumping into the chat right really quick just to see what everybody else thought. Stormy says she would rate it a 3 also, and her highlight is Felicity telling Oliver to tell William the truth. I agree with that. That was pretty cool. And she liked the small bits of Dig and Felicity talking, especially their feelings on Slade. I enjoyed Oliver and Felicity talking in the apartment quite a lot. I thought that was really cute, really well balanced. It was a good mood. Bruna says, I miss Diggle and Felicity interactions. Yeah, they've just seemed so few and far between. And I think that's why when we get 2 in one episode, we're like, wow, like best friends back in time. You know what I mean? But then I feel like if we had those interactions more consistently for Diggle and Felicity, it would allow us to I don't know. Like there's something nice about something being a treat, you know, but I wish it wasn't just like a special treat out of nowhere. I wish we got it more often. The way and I don't mind this really at all, I guess, but the way we, for example, have been getting Dinah and Diggle every
Right.
episode. Multiple scenes, quite a lot. That's been pretty controversial on here. I'm really curious to see what you think of that. What were your thoughts on Diggle and Dinah?
It felt like a lot of time was being spent having private chats in the lair,
Yeah.
between the two of them. Uh, but I can see how they can bond over certain things, but but we're missing, like you said, we're missing that interaction between him and Felicity because at the core,
Yeah.
running the team, they're the ones that are going to be having the important conversations. I feel like.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think it is the Diggle and Felicity bits that we're missing. We got a couple asides between Diggle and in terms of the Back and Star City team. So we'll get into Slade and Oliver in a second. But in terms of the Back and Star City team, you know, we sort of had little moments of Diggle and Felicity, which was nice because we very rarely get that. But the overall story kind of centered around Diggle and Dinah, and I love Diggle and I like Dinah, but something about I don't know. I mean, it really just centered around Dinah in terms of her partner and stuff, and something about that just felt like, oh, I don't know. I guess I didn't expect that exactly, but
It feels a little
whatever.
out of
What
like
now?
it feels a little out of the blue.
Yeah.
Like we're just
I
gonna
mean,
make them become close all of a sudden and have all these pep talks in the lair.
yeah. It kind of did just like jump right into Diggle and Dinah this season, but like as just friends. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with them. I think I know what's going on with them, but like I'll sit in my lane, I guess, and wait and see. um So, in terms of what's actually in my lane and of my interest, is that a correct way to phrase that? Who knows? Slade, love, favorite villain, high expectations for this episode. What were your like favorite moments, I guess, of the Slade storyline?
I guess my favorite moment of about Slade is that he seems to be wanting to respect Oliver's decision to step back from the vigilante scene for the sake of his son, and that he
Yeah.
help, but he wanted his help as Oliver Queen. Um, that kind of that goes back to that parental paternal type
Yeah.
interaction that they have. Um, I enjoyed that, and the flashbacks were a little much, but I feel like it
Mm-hmm.
gave a little bit of insight into how Slade became who he is and why his relationship with his son is what it is today.
Yeah. I thought, yeah, I thought the flashbacks were really interesting. If nothing else, I would say, and this is just a weird specific thing to notice, but I think they did a good job with making Slade look like he was younger in the flashbacks, and they did a good job that the flashback kid looks like who we know the actress is who will play his son. So that was cool. Um, the tone for the flashbacks was cool. It kind of felt very, you know, it reminded me a lot of like the way Slade sort of seemed in season 1. So that was, I don't know. It's to, I guess, Manu Bennett's credit that the flashbacks really felt like an origin story for Slade in a
Mm-hmm.
way, right? In terms of present day Slade, I guess I don't know what I expected for the Slade and Oliver team up, but I think I expected more tension between them. Like they were sort of having to work together, but they didn't necessarily want to be like bros. Like it wouldn't be so casual. And it felt like there was this level of them being casual. And I missed that sort of hyper tension that they had when they were adversaries who were forced to work together. And it left me the whole time wondering where the intensity went, because like this is the guy who killed Oliver's mother in front of him with a sword. Where's the tension and adversariness? Why are they suddenly like bros? I don't know.
And
I
I
think
feel like,
that's what I was missing, was the intensity.
yeah, and I don't feel like there was a whole lot of teamwork going on. I
Yeah.
feel like, you know, they went to the first scene together after they, took the flight, and met the former associate. They were together, but after that, it was kind of like, okay, here's the money, go to the prison and take care of it. I'm going to stay at the hotel. Like there wasn't
Right.
a pairing up together.
Yeah. And I mean, we kind of expected a teamwork, a forced teamwork between them, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know.
that's
It's just, it's
fun.
characters who usually come across as so intense together. And maybe I thought I would like the sort of like bros on a mission thing, but I ended up not liking it. It lacked intensity.
Yeah, but and in the finale of last season, when they paired up and worked together and fought together, they just kind of had this chemistry, like they could read each other and they were working well together,
Yeah.
even though they weren't sure how they felt about each other necessarily. And I feel like that element was missing in this episode somehow. A tad bit.
Yeah, I agree. So jumping into the chat, have one here that says, I totally think Slade's son saw him kill that guy. The relationship was already strained, and then you find out he's a killer. Yeah, Slade's son was also kind of a punk in the flashbacks as well, but like I think he's a punk present day, it sounds like, so it's fine. And then Stormy says, Oliver should have such tension with Slade. He killed your mom, tormented your sister, left the team to die on the island last season. Yeah, I don't know. I'm quite pleased for them to work together because these two do really well in scenes together. Um and the actors tend to play off each other quite well, but I I don't know. I think the bros thing was a bit of a stretch, but I mean, looking into the previews for next week, the promo for next week, it seems like they may end up a bit more adversarial here pretty quick. So maybe it's coming, I guess.
I would be
So
okay way whether they become adversaries or they start working well together. I just feel like they need to have stronger chemistry somehow, whether it's an adversarial relationship or a partnership.
yeah, it just didn't have exactly the Oliver Slade magic that we normally would expect, but maybe that's coming. Maybe they're saving their best moments for the second half of this two-parter, which I didn't even know it was a two-parter going into this. I don't think it was promoted as such. Did you know that?
No,
Yeah.
a lot
So
of
I
things
don't know.
random, like
Yeah.
sudden conclusion. Oh, it's a two-parter. Okay.
Yeah.
Random.
Yeah, it is, and I don't really know. So I know what in terms of the Oliver and Slade stuff is being carried over into next episode, but in terms of what's going on for the team, I don't really, like there's so many loose ends for the team, like Diggle's injury and Dinah's partner, Felicity's tech company, Curtis with the tech company as well. Wild Dog is suddenly told he's going to be the mayor in Oliver's place, which like you could have picked anyone. You picked Wild Dog, like, but all right. Like that was a little weird. So I don't know what loose end they intend to pick up next week.
There's a lot of things that we haven't even talked about, like Diggle's solution to his hand trimmer. Are we ever going to talk about what
Yeah.
shooting up? And yeah, there's a lot of loose ends that need to be readdressed or tied up or
Yeah. They just like had that as a episode ending a while back, and then they just like dropped it entirely. And I'm sure they'll revisit it, but in the meantime, are we supposed to? Are there any like, I don't know, I guess there's symptoms and stuff we're supposed to notice, but it feels unaddressed because now they need to address Dinah Vigilante, I guess. Which also, I think the issue I'm having with the Dinah and Vigilante thing, which again, I don't dislike Dinah and I don't dislike Vigilante. I don't dislike the idea of Dinah's partner coming back to life because this is DCCW and like everybody's dead love interest comes back to life, like whatever. It just felt like they had all these weird like like loose ends, I guess, that they just like push them all together and they're like, oh, okay, this person will be this to this person. And it just what there wasn't much setup for it, but like I don't hate it. Like, I don't know. Where do you think they're gonna go with that? I mean, that's usually the question that
I was
end any review with is like, where are they gonna go with this? And with this, it's like, where are they gonna go with everything they left loose?
yeah. I was a little underwhelmed, I guess, with the reveal. I feel like they could have built it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
They teased him a lot, you know, previously, and now all of a sudden it's like, bam, okay, this is who he is.
Yeah.
It felt very sudden.
Yeah. And they just recently announced who the casting was. So I guess we now like we knew in advance who the casting of Vigilante was, but it also revealed that they didn't know until this season who the casting was. So like who was actually under the mask before, just like random stunt guy number one filling. I don't know. Everything about the way they've handled Vigilante feels weird, and it felt like Vigilante was sort of like a fake out for Prometheus because we thought that, you know, that Adrian chased Vigilante because of the comics, whatever. And Vigilante was sort of placed as a fake out for that because we wouldn't realize Adrian was Prometheus, whatever. And then they took this fake out and they brought it into this season and they're like, guess who's back? And he's tied to this new character and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, all right, like sell me on that, I guess.
I think it'll be an interesting storyline for Dinah. Some of the things she said when she was talking with John in the lair. I need to go back and rewatch this episode because I feel like there's things I need to go back and pay attention to. But she said she wasted all this time in her life fighting for someone that she doesn't even recognize anymore, or trying to avenge she doesn't even recognize anymore. Which reminds me of, you know, Oliver's first journey was avenging for his father. This revelation of, you know, more of his father.
That's what the Dinah Vigilante thing reminds me of.
So it's kind of parallel in how that will be interesting for her. I feel like we just kind of nosedived all of a sudden into her storyline, into her story.
No, that makes sense. Like now that you mention that, that actually makes sense. Like everything about what she's going through now reminds me a lot of Oliver back in season 1. And I think the problem with that, sorry, trying to adjust like headphones, flannel, everything. We're here. We're good. Everything about what she's going through now reminds me of Oliver season 1, however, I was not crazy about Oliver's journey back in season 1. Didn't hate it. Just wasn't like, you know how like it was right around the end of season 1 when we're all like, oh wow, sold. Like now I get it. Like now that the team's together, I'm kind of getting it. I think like I just haven't hit that like, oh wow, sold moment for Dinah yet. And that's why it's sort of still like, where are you going with this? Like, who's the love interest I'm supposed to be rooting for? What exactly? Like, what's her journey? What's her everything? So it's like, I don't know. Jumping into the chat real quick says, I think there could have been better options about who Vigilante is. I just feel nothing about it being Dinah's ex-partner. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's actually reminding me about a little bit of like Oliver and Laurel back in season 1 of like, I haven't seen you in so long, but I've been like trying to do all of this for you and all this time. And we're sort of left like, oh, okay, but why though? And then like, obviously that ship fell by the wayside. And this Dinah Vigilante thing kind of feels like it could go a similar route. So I'm not really sure I would attach to them, but I don't really have like alternative.
And I have questions ships. Like, how did she know it was him? Because she revealed herself with her sonic cry without her mask, rolling the dice that she knew it was him. I'm like, how did you know?
Yeah. Which I don't know if they were supposed to be playing that off as like some sort of, you know, comic book cosmic soulmates. I just could like tell it was him. I felt his aurora, you know, like whatever the thing. I don't know if it was supposed to be like that. If
I
they
remember
try to sell us on like Dinah and Vigilante being like some sort of star-crossed, like, oh, I can sense it was him and I've pined for you all this time, but now you're different. And like it turns out really soap opery. Like I won't even be mad about it, but like I'm gonna be in the corner laughing about it.
I was upset. I was like, why are you revealing yourself, girl? You're being stupid in the moment. But
Right?
then it was her ex. So I just
Yeah.
want to know how she knew.
Yeah. I don't know. But the little origami thing at the end was cute. That kind of reminded me of Prison Break. I saw a couple other people tweeting about that too. Is it was like it's like they're trying to give them this like not necessarily tropey, but kind of cutesy moment bit there to make up for the fact that like they're trying to kill each other low key. I don't know. Maybe this will end up being a cute ship. Maybe one of them will die before it's even possible. Probably won't be Dinah that's dying. But like, you know, it's just I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to do with it. And I'm sort of in advance like, do you mean for this to be a big thing or is this like a two-part episode storyline? Like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, answering your question in the chat, Gabriella says, I don't think she knew actually. So maybe she was just exposing. And then Stormy says he took off his mask after she hit him with the sonic cry. Yeah, so we were just trying to figure out if she exposed her identity by taking off or like by using the sonic cry without a mask, whatever. Before or after she knew it was him. Gabriella says she doesn't think she knew. Maybe she just like had to use it and there wasn't time. I don't know.
So many questions.
Yeah, maybe they just hand wave it away for plot. Gabriella says she looked pretty shocked when he took his mask off. So yeah, yeah, she probably didn't know before she, you know, kind of exposed her identity. Maybe she just thought this is like a bad guy. I'll take him down. It won't matter that he knows it's me. Maybe.
But she said something along the lines of "so it is you," or "so it's you," didn't she?
Yeah,
Which kind of leads you to believe she may have had an inkling. I don't know. I'm so
maybe.
confused.
Maybe she thought maybe it was like, oh, it kind of this person kind of like runs or moves or acts like him or whatever. But like I thought it was crazy, but then it, you know, like they could kind of retcon an explanation for that if they really wanted to. But like then again, like all these explanations would require this to be like a long ongoing storyline, and I'm just like not sure if this is going to be a long ongoing storyline. Like, is Vigilante supposed to be one of the whole season long villain anti-heroes whatever, or is Vigilante gonna be like wrapped up by the mid-season finale in a few more episodes? Don't know. Stormy says she told the team in the lair she saw his face. Yeah. I mean she did when she took the mask off, so I don't know. All right, so we've talked about the Oliver and his son, Slade and his son sort of shtick. We talked about the team left back in Star City. So let me toss like our big final question, which kind of carries a lot of weight with this being a two-parter episode. What do you want to see going forward? Which we almost answered a second ago, and then we got on a rabbit trail.
I want to see a resolution of whether Slade is truly restored to his man of integrity, the one that um, helped Oliver survive the island and helped him escape, and that was his brother. If the Mirakuru is what made everything evil about him in the past, or if really he's
Yeah.
going to turn on Oliver and stab him in the back. I
Yeah.
want to find out, have resolution. Was he just using him like as a means to an end, or does he really still have affection for him somehow after all of their past?
Yeah.
I want to see that.
I think that's such a good. I mean, it's critical for them to answer that question for this, you know, uh, presence of Slade in this season overall, and also this sort of two-parter makes sense. Like we have to figure that out about Slade. Otherwise, all of these flashbacks and all of this setup is for nothing. And I'm kind of curious of not only just what the episode, what the answer is, but how they handle it. Yeah, like I don't know. because there was some stuff even before Slade was on the Mirakuru. I think I have lipstick on my teeth. Oh well. Even before Slade was on the Mirakuru, where like Oliver kind of sort of getting shadow killed and all of that could kind of build up a lot of animosity that maybe hasn't been fully addressed for Slade. So I don't know. It really just depends on whether they want to use him as a villain or an anti-hero this season, I guess, as to what they'll decide.
They did mention in John and Felicity's chat how he abandoned them on the island when it was about to explode.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's some unresolved things that they're leading up towards.
Yeah. I feel like they're trying to make it out to be like Oliver wants to believe the best in him or wants to redeem him, because I think that's an ongoing character trait that they try to give Oliver, is like he's always trying to redeem somebody who's like like long gone past being redeemable. And with Slade, I mean, maybe he's not long past gone being redeemable. There's like the Mirakuru excuse and all that for a few things. But yeah, like leaving the team on the island, and I don't know. I think even with the Mirakuru, like how do you get past the fact that he stabbed Moira in the heart with a sword? Like, how do you come back from that and be bros? Like, maybe you can agree to not kill him, but you probably don't want him in your presence anymore. I don't know. Stormy says, I agree. We need resolution. He's committed bad acts against Oliver after supposedly being cured. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. But I think if they want to use him this season as more of an anti-hero, more of a Merlin type of character, well, Merlin was a villain, but whatever. If they want to do that, I think they'll find a way to do that. Looking in the chat here. Okay. I also got a tweet a while back on Twitter pointing out, where was it? Maybe he'll have a bigger plot. Yeah. Okay. So Alex says on Twitter, if Vigilante only has a 1 or 2 episode arc, it's going to be pointless. The reveal was anticlimactic enough as it is. So Prey's going to be better than I think. He has a mission as a meta. Maybe he'll have a bigger plot. Yeah, that was kind of one of the tweets I saw earlier that I got that kind of sums up how I feel about Vigilante. Is like they gave him all this stuff and they gave him all this power and they gave him all this background. I don't really know what they're going to do with it because I'm not necessarily like sold on what the plan seems to be. I don't know. We'll see going forward. To sum it all up, what I was trying to say, though, what I was meaning to say, what I would like to see going forward is all of these loose ends resolve or focus in on an ending for at least some of them by the end of this 2-parter episode. If this 2-parter episode ends with it's a cliffhanger on whether Slade is good or bad. It's a cliffhanger on what's going on with Vigilante. It's a cliffhanger on what's going on with Diggle's arm. We don't know anything more about Curtis and Felicity's tech company. We don't know what's going on with the anti-vigilante bill. Like, all these cliffhangers. And also, like, Oliver's identity is revealed, and also this, and William's in danger, just all this stuff, and it's just like everything's up in the air. I won't necessarily be convinced on their like ability to juggle all that. So I'm hoping at least some things get resolved, and then they can have some sort of big cliffhanger, probably the identity reveal.
I hope so too. Right. There's 3 more episodes until the crossover. Is that right?
Yeah.
So we have 3 episodes to get answers, hopefully.
Yeah. I think so. I'm excited for the crossover for like obvious reasons. Like, we're all okay with spoilers on this show, so we all know an event that starts with a W and ends with Edding might be happening in the crossover. So even if the rest of the crossover is kind of weird, I'm gonna kind of like stick it out through it because your girl's a fan of weddings. Questions in the chat. Stormy says, could Oliver going over as mayor come back to bite him with the FBI? I bet so. I bet that's going to be part of what exposes his identity or gets him, in trouble. Gabriella says, I like how they balance the Slade storyline with some cool interactions we don't get to see so often, like Diggle/Felicity, Oliver/William, Detective Watson, and the team. Hoping we'll see more of that in part 2. Yes, and I really, 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 now that you mentioned it again, Gabriella, want to see a second face off with Watson and Felicity. I loved them getting to interact with each other, and I want more of that. That was fantastic. It's 2 strong actresses in a scene together with like, they're both on the same side of justice, but they kind of have different opinions of how to get there. I was enamored with my screen during that scene. So I'm hoping we get more of that as well.
Part of me wonders if the timeline of their, you know, we're okay with spoilers here, right? The
We're
timeline of
super
their
okay with spoilers.
of what we think is going to be their wedding, we know, has
Yeah.
anything to do with their legal troubles.
Oh, for sure. Because the whole thing that Detective Watson was asking her is, are you okay with testifying? Are you okay with testifying? Basically, I mean, the implication is, are you okay with perjuring yourself? Because
Mm-hmm.
Felicity would be, in fact, lying. And Felicity's like, yeah, super sure. Like, sure. Also, gotta go. They gotta find a way around that. And, like, why not use an easy way around that by getting married so you can't testify against your spouse?
Because the first time they were engaged, I mean, she was planning, left and right. We've got glitter flying out of invitations, all these details. Then all of a sudden, it's like,
Yeah.
poof, we're getting married.
Yeah, it's just, and I mean, tying that back to what we saw yesterday on the Flash episode, which if anybody didn't watch it, that's okay. If you're not watching the Flash, that's okay. You're not missing much. Um, but Felicity was in this week's episode, which was really cool to see. And they were at a bachelorette party, not Felicity's bachelorette party. And she makes some comments about, like last time we had a wedding, we almost died. Like, so maybe not, and that's kind of her qualms with it. So I'm guessing the wedding this time around won't be like the big church wedding with bowers of flowers and all that sort of stuff. They better get Felicity another wedding dress though, or they can show up to fight me personally. Like, she better get a wedding dress, which I think that they will in their like after reception party, but that's a whole other spoiler. All right. Well, I kept you over time and I'm so sorry, but I just like chatting with you so much. Guessing I'll probably chat with you more. Will you be at Heroes of Villains? I forgot.
I will. I sure will.
Well, I will get to chat with you more at Heroes and Villains in the upcoming weekend. She and I will both be at that. Super excited. But if any of the lovely people watching this want to go chat about Arrow, Felicity, Elicity, whatever content with you, where can they find you?
On Twitter, at LC4, the number 4, Olicity.
Yes. So go chat with her. She's pretty great. Say thank you for her coming on to talk with us tonight because that was really fun. I'm super excited. I get to see you in like 10 days or something. So
Yay!
cool.
It'll be fun.
Yeah. And her information is also in the description below, or maybe it's to the side now. I don't know how YouTube works. It's chill. And I'm Cami and Ray at Cami and Ray everywhere, every site. You know where I am. Blah, blah, blah. Anybody can come find me and talk to me. And I will see you guys next week for episode 6. I can't believe we're already on episode 6 of season 6. It feels like it's flying by, but that's because quite a few episodes were really good. Back to back. All right. See you guys next week for episode 6. Bye.